When I saw these Halloween caramel apple dies from a Pretty Pink Posh, I knew that I needed to turn them into felt objects, little felt stuffies, and so that's what I did. Hey everyone, it's Joy here, and welcome to my channel. So here are the dies that I have used. I've already done this little ghost off camera to show you. We're going to create 2 more, but look at how cute this is. Oh my gosh, I love how these turned out. So I'm just using some felt, some paper straws, of course my sewing needle, some thread, and some stuffing. And I also used a little bit of tacky glue. So I will show you why I used tacky glue and for what reason, and I just did the tiniest bit. So we have the 2 front pieces, our back piece, and right here I used this Aleene's tacky glue and I put it in just a few little areas on that spider web because I wanted that to hold while I stitch it in place. When I say just the tiniest bit, I mean I did just the tiniest bit in a few of the areas. Then we're going to have a cute little spider and this fun striped straw. I will show you how I sew that inside because I do sew it. And I'm going to trim this down shorter, just these fun paper straws that you can get. I got these on Amazon. And we're going to stitch that in there because I thought that's the best way to make it stay. So I'm going to start with some white thread and I'm going to stitch in all of those little connecting lines on the spider web, and I'm just using one single layer of thread. I am just going to stitch in all of those a little tiny X. This is what's going to hold it in place. You can add some more glue on the little end pieces next to the edge of the caramel here to hold that down, or you could stitch it if you wanted to, but I'm not going to stitch it. I'm just going to stitch it in these few areas just to really get a good hold. Sorry, I had just had some ink or something under my nail. It was driving me nuts. So I'm going to stitch through those areas. I'm not going to show all of the stitching of that, but again, just the tiniest little X through those areas, keeping it really super simple. But again, this is going to hold this in place, but I did tack it down with that glue, so I'm not fighting with it and it's wiggling around. So I did that, set it aside. It dried really quick. We have the spider here. Now I would say I needed to be more careful. I'm just doing an X in the center of him. You can't even see it, but even if you did, it's cute, but you can't even see it. But when I was stitching everything together, I kept putting my thumb on him and it was kind of fraying the spider's legs. So I will say be careful of that. Now we are going to, that's the front of our caramel piece. And I'm going to add some seed beads. So I do have a needle for seed beads and I'm just using a tan caramel color seed bead. I'm going to match it to all of the felt that I'm working with. And so I'm going to run my thread up through the back. Then I'm going to get a seed bead on my needle and go back down right next to where I came up with the needle. And I'm going to work all the way across the top here, and I'm going to do this on all of my projects because I thought it would be fun to have like the candy look or like the little sugar look on your felt, and so that's why I'm doing the seed beads, and it went really fast. It really didn't take a super long time to put this together. Now we have our straw on the inside of our front piece, and I'm going to take my needle through the inside of the straw and through the felt. So I tied a knot at the end of the needle, and so now that is hooked, and I'm just going to go up one side, across over to the other side. I'm going to do this quite a few times to really sew this in place. And then when I'm done doing that, I'm going to go back through the bottom part of the straw and the felt again and tie a couple of knots. Really super simple, making sure it stays centered, but I want to make sure that that is nice and stitched. And I will say be careful about how high up you stitched because I wasn't paying attention, but I lucked out that you can't see it. So now we're going to layer our pieces together, our 3 pieces. We have our 2 front pieces and our back piece, which the straw is sandwiched in between. I decide, and I'm going to do a blanket stitch here. So I'm going to start on the left side of the straw, And when I came to the straw, I'm like, gosh, I'm not sure what to do. I actually just wrapped the string around the back and then continued to do the blanket stitch, and you don't even notice the string. Maybe there's a better way to do it, but that's how I did it, and I don't even claim to be an expert. But this is how I problem solved it, and it worked for me. So I'm just going to continue to do a blanket stitch all the way around. I think it gives a really nice finished edge. And what I decided to do as far as the color of thread is match my color of apple. I didn't want to match the caramel or the candy coating, but I wanted to match the apple. So that's what I did. So on the red apples, I did red, and on the green apple, I'm going to do a green thread. So here's where I am going to, this is where I was deciding, like, I'm going to go as close to that straw as possible, and I'm going to wrap that thread around the back. And then I will just continue doing that blanket stitch. I think it's a really nice finished edge for this type of look. I think it just really adds a really fun decorative edge. So I'm going to wrap that around and come as close to that straw as possible. And when we get, I'm going to go around, and when we get to the left side again, I'm going to leave an opening because we do need to stuff it. Now I'm just going to use some fiber fill instead of like another piece of felt, and here's why. Because we have that straw in there, you're really going to feel it, unless you fill it with something kind of puffy. So you're going to fill it anyways, but it's not going to have like this big bump from the straw once you put that fiber fill in there. So, and it didn't take a lot, but when I put it in, I did make sure to go up on each side next to the straw and obviously underneath it, and that really gave it a nice little poof, and you can't tell that there's the straw in there. So I'm going to continue. My thread kept wanting to get caught on the seed beads, but once we got past that, then it was fine. And I have a really long string because I wanted to make sure I got all the way around without having to start over again. Okay, so now I went over to that left-hand side. I left a little pocket opening, and I'm going to use tiny little pieces, and I'm going to start and go to the opposite side and put in, and this is where I noticed my little spider, and put in that poly fiber fill, and I want to make sure that it goes up and around to the other side around that straw. It was really super simple. It stuffed really easy because, again, it wasn't too much, and you don't want to overdo because you don't want to accidentally rip your felt. But I definitely wanted it puffy enough. And I'm going to move the fiber fill around. I'm using the back end of my tweezers so I don't poke through anything because, you know, the end of the tweezers are so sharp. And make sure on that top left part of the apple I have enough of the fiber fill, but you can see it's tiny little pieces because these aren't very big, but so darn cute, you guys. These are so cute. And then once I get it where I want it to be, then I'm just going to finish with my stitching, my blanket stitch all around the edge. I will tie a knot off and then run that needle through the back and pull it out of the back, and then trim the excess string off, not string, floss. So cute. And I'm using 2 strands of floss here. So there's my knot, and then I'm going to shove that needle down and out through the back. And then we're just going to take some ribbon that I have in my stash, and we're going to tie that knot. I did glue on the other spider because that one got so frayed so bad. So that one is not stitched down, the top one, it's glued down, but be careful of that when you're holding it, is my point. And then I'm going to trim the excess off, but isn't that just a cute, like, little red and white gingham? I just had this in my stash from something. Oh, how cute. I love it. Okay, we are going to go on to our next one. Darling. And then, so we've got our jack-o'-lantern here. I glued the eyes and mouth on, and again, I'm just taking the black thread, one strand of black floss, and doing an X in the eyes, and then an X on each side of the mouth to really hold it down. And I did not put a ton of glue, so my needle is not even having a hard time getting through there. It's just enough glue to tack it down so it doesn't wiggle when I'm sewing it. I don't want to deal with that. It frustrates me. And so I'm like, I'm just going to glue it down. If that doesn't bother you, then you don't even have to use any tacky glue. I'm going to sew that straw into the front back of the front apple piece, just like I did on the other one, keeping that exactly the same. Let's do our seed beads. So I'm going to do some orange seed beads here at the top. Of course, this is just optional, but I like that little extra something. And I will go across the whole top, just adding little clusters of them everywhere I go, again, using a seed bead needle. Okay, so now I have my front pieces and my back piece layered because I already stitched that straw like I did on the other one, and I am doing that blanket stitch all the way around, and I'm going to leave open a little area here on the left-hand side so we can stuff that again. Can you believe that these are paper dies, you guys? It's so easy to cut the felt. I just used my normal die cut machine and it cut the felt nicely. The felt that I'm using is from Tailored Expressions, the TheFeltPod. The TheFeltPod, I couldn't tell you the colors because it doesn't have any names on the packaging. But obviously, you know, like just good felt. Don't go buy the cheap felt from a craft store. You want like 100% wool felt. You want the good stuff. So whatever colors you like, just grab that and you could just die cut these and make a ton of these. So now I have it all nice and stuffed, and let me finish that blanket stitch. And again, I'll tie a knot at the top and then stick that needle through the back for the end of that thread and trim that off. And we're going to tie a cute little bow around this. And then we can look at these up close, nice and slow, because they are so darling. And I thought it was fun to do a green apple on this one. But I think the ghost one is my favorite, but I love them all. So there's that little knot I'm making. And then let's stick that needle through the back. Cute. And it'd be cute to stitch something on the back of the apples too. I might do that on my next ones. Stitch a little something. I don't even know, but something cute on there. Maybe say, you know, boo or something like that. I don't know. A little image, something. We're just going to use some orange ribbon for this guy. And I'm going to trim the excess off of that. I'm not the best ribbon maker, or bow maker, but it is cute. And let's take a look at these up close. Look at that, the fun seed beads. I love the paper straws in there. I think they're so cute. This one is darling with the spider web and the spider. And then of course our little ghost one that I made off camera. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed these fun projects. I hope it inspires you to look at your dies a little bit differently. And thank you again, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.